How does that make you feel when you see that?
Well, it's a horror, and it's what can we do here? Again, can we go bang on the halls of the Capitol there? What can we do to stop this? And why should our sons and daughters keep having to go back and go back and go back and do this when the American people have already said, we want this to end? You know, the last election told our government we want it to end, and we're still doing it, and we're still facing stop loss, and I'm angry about it.
Now, Adam, you recently also mentioned that you were titled the attack dog for the left. And something that often comes up is that, you know, if you're supporting the military or if you're in the military, you're Republican. And there's, you know, certain party affiliations. If you're an anti-war protester, you must be a Democrat. And so I just kind of wanted to take kind of a quick poll about that. Well, what party are you?
Well, I'm a libertarian, and we speak out as veterans out of our moral imperative. But you step into the ring politically, you know, you're throwing blows, you know, and you know that you're gonna catch a few, and you know that's definitely expected. We step into the ring knowing what's going to happen, and you know, unfortunately, a lot of the attacks against us have come from right-wing extremists, from people who are under the influence of the neoconservative movement in America. Recently, just for having achieved certain prominence for various actions as an anti-war and anti-racist activist, I have been called now an attack dog of the left wing. But if I've earned the title attack dog, you know, in the political arena, I think that's quite an honor. I'm actually proud to be referred to as that. But it's really disparaging for me to be often accused of being a leftist. And just recently, David Horowitz came out and labeled a bunch of people that I work with as members of the Revolutionary Communist Party, having just presumed that because, you know, we're taking a stand against racism, we must be communists. So, I mean, to see this kind of like this abuse of these various labels is really disheartening. The accusation of individuals and the slander that we've all experienced here, it's disgusting. But yeah, I'm a proud libertarian, you know, and I really come from conservative principles of small government. And to see that just because I'm against this war, which is really an operation that gives us more government, that has us governing supposedly a sovereign nation on the other side of the world, now I'm a leftist and a socialist and a communist and all these other terms that I mean, at least are principled political views. But if you look at, like, you know, the people who are proponents of this war, neoconservatives, the only proponents or the only principles that they have behind what they're doing really is fascism. You know, the glorification of the state, the supreme destiny of America as an institution. And you know, we've all taken, you know, we can all see historically the results of letting that fascism get away from us.
And Al, where is your party affiliation, if any?
Well, as part of Military Family Speak Out, we're nonpartisan. But, you know, this was Bush's war. This was Bush's war until January of 2006. And January 2006, the Democrats took control of Congress. Now, we're coming up, going to be a year soon, and the war is still going on. It's no longer Bush's war. It's the Democrats' war. They have the power to stop this war. Instead of sending these timetable amendments that Bush can veto, first of all, they can't even get it past the filibuster. They can't even get it past the 60 votes to get it past the filibuster. And even if they did that, he would veto it, and then they would need 67 votes. But when he says, I need $150 billion more to continue this war, Congress controls the purse strings. They can just say no. All they need is 50 votes, 51 votes in the Senate, and a majority in the House, and deprive him of the money. But they won't do it. So if people say, you know, we're an arm of the Democratic Party, I mean, I'm harder on the Democrats right now than anybody. So that's not true. I'm against this war. This war is illegal. It's immoral. It's, you know, even people that support the war, if you press them, they're going to say, oh, well, yeah, well, it was mismanaged, or these mistakes were made, but we can't get out now, or something like that. You know, the thing is, nobody likes this war. Nobody does. So, you know, whether you're Republican or Democrat, or you're left or you're right, there's this right or wrong. And this war is wrong.
Jeff.
There's a couple of things. First of all, I've been a registered Republican for nearly a decade now. Used to be a proud Republican. I think that the party that I used to align myself with is hurting right now. It's hurting real bad, especially when I look at the best Republican candidate that I can find and I say, well, I think it's Kucinich is the best Republican candidate I could find, because, you know, Ron Paul is out there and he's doing good stuff. But I look at the field of candidates. I don't see one that represents the Republican values that I have. But like I was saying, we are a nonpartisan group. Iraq Veterans Against the War, we have people in it that self-identify as socialists, to people who self-identify as anarchists, to people who self-identify as libertarians, to people who self-identify as Republicans or Democrats. And we run the gamut of that. Why? Because so does America, and so does the American military. And right now, 70% of America is against the war in Iraq. And probably near the same cross-section is that way in the military, if not more so. And there's one thing that Al said that I actually kind of disagree with, which is that the Democrats don't need 51 votes to end the war. They control what goes to the floor for a vote. That is what the leadership of the Democratic Party. So why am I harsh on Democrats? Because when Republicans were in charge, they knew how to be in charge. If they didn't want something pass, it never even got voted on. And if they don't want something to be passed, it doesn't have to go to the floor. And they continuously bring these things to the floor instead of using their constitutional powers. I signed up for the military to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Why are our soldiers signing up to put their lives on the line for a Constitution that our Congress refuses to use their part of, refuses to live up to the obligation they have under that very precious document? Why?
Which
Why
Bush
do we
is
do
referred
that?
to as a goddamn piece of paper.
Now, Mary, it sounds like everybody here has been not very friendly to actually any of the controlling parties that is out there. Where does your party affiliation lie?
Well, for about the last 10 years, I've been a registered Democrat, and I am considering what the wording will be when I send my party withdrawal, and I want to send it to Nancy Pelosi.
So it doesn't sound like that the Democrats have been very successful at getting out a positive image. As a matter of fact, you'd mentioned something about Nancy Pelosi speaking out against people who are who are opposing her.
Page 2 of the Washington Post today was a non-flattering article of Nancy Pelosi, and when she was talking about the people sitting in front of her house in San Francisco, she said if they were homeless, we could get rid of them, but they have impeach Bush across them, so that's free speech. She says what they don't get is they're the advocates and we're the leaders.
So that would imply that they would be leading.
Right.
But I think what we have here is a situation where we have a government that is no longer afraid of its people. The country that I want to be a part of, the America that I love, and the America that I want to see in the future is an America that not only respects the American people, but is afraid of them. A democracy should be afraid of its people because we hold the power. If this is truly a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, then the government should be afraid of those people. And when it comes time that that government no longer represents us, then it's our job to make sure that we provide a government that does. And what you're seeing in America today is a dangerous thing because 70% of the American people want this war to come to an end. And that's an old figure. I'm sure it's much higher than that by now. It's probably around 80% by now, judging by the fact that there's going to be some people who will never change their minds, and that's just how they are no matter what. But the fact is that the overwhelming majority of the American people want this war to be over.